Hey guys, we are so excited that you're taking the time to watch our stories. We both love coaching so much, and we cannot wait to share our stories with you to hopefully inspire you a little bit, because this little tug on our hearts that got us started on this business might just be in yours after you hear our stories. So my name is Paige Farr, and I'm a health and fitness coach. I've been a health and fitness coach for 2.5 years now, which is kind of crazy. And I started part-time as a health coach and a teacher, and it took me about 2 years to actually match my teaching income and then start to out earn it with this. And I finally figured out that I wanted to step away from teaching and pursue this full time. I'm married. I have a golden doodle. I live in a small town, just your normal, average small town girl. And this business has changed my life. So I can't wait to share with you.
Hey guys, so my name is Megan Seals, and I am actually Paige's coach. I've been coaching for almost 5 years, coming up very, very soon. I actually am married. I have a 1-year-old. I used to be a teacher also, so I taught 6th grade for about 8 years, and 2.5 of those years, at the very end, I did coaching also. So I did teaching full-time, coaching on the side whenever I could fit it into the cracks of my day. And it became such a positive outlet for me. So it was something that I looked forward to when I was having a rough day at work. I want to just kind of start us off by talking about how I got started about coaching, like how I even found out about it. And hopefully our stories are kind of similar to yours. And then we'll let Paige share hers, because hers is a little bit different than how I found out about it. So I kind of saw my coach posting about this thing. And I know that she's like kind of this like no BS, kind of like doesn't really fall for scam type people. And so that was my first thing of like, this seems really interesting. She seems really like she's having fun with it. And she's kind of one of those people that like doesn't just like get into something if she doesn't fully believe into it. And she did message me and she said, "Hey, I think you'd be really great at what you're doing." But I assumed that it was something that people did when they dislike their jobs. And maybe you are feeling the exact same way, but like, oh, I can't do coaching because I love my job. I did too. I loved teaching so much. And I said, that's not for me. But I also had some personal fears. So I also was super afraid that I would be that girl walking down the street and people would literally like not look at me, or they would avoid me at all costs because I was the Beachbody girl, or I was the Shakeology girl, or I was that girl that was going to just only talk to them and only pester them about whatever it is that I was doing. But you guys, that's not who I am. And so you're not going to turn into this crazy robot person just because you find something that you're passionate about. And I found that out by just saying yes and getting started. But I said no for like 9 months. And then I finally said yes because I would join something like this. I listened to women genuinely speak from their hearts. I listened to them talk about how they were helping others, how they were being a part of something bigger themselves. And I wanted that in my life. I also wanted to help my mom feel really good about herself again, because I noticed energy change, confidence change in her. And I really wanted her to gain back, how I saw her in the world. So I said yes, no intention of doing much with this besides just saying, yeah, I want to help a couple of people. Why not? Let's do it.
So our stories are a little bit different, and that's one thing we both love about coaching, is that everybody's stories are a little bit different. Everybody's why is a little bit different. Everybody's vision is a little bit different, and everybody's health journey is a little bit different. So I actually saw Megan for the first time on Facebook. I did not know who she was for anybody. I actually thought she was this like professional fitness person, and I was really intrigued by what she was doing because she was posting about her workouts every single day. I noticed that she was posting about teaching too, so that just posed some questions in my mind, like, what is she doing? And then I saw that she was paying off debt, student loan debt specifically, and paid all of it off with what she was doing. And I got really curious. So I just asked. I messaged her one day after actually she noticed that I had liked her page, and she was kind of talking to me back and forth on some of my posts that she connected with. So I finally decided to reach out to her because I was like, oh, she's like normal enough that she will comment on my pictures and like my pictures and just talk to me. So I felt comfortable enough to reach out to her and ask her what the heck she was doing because she noticed me. So I reached out to her and I said, okay, I see you're a teacher. I see you do this coaching thing and you're making money. while you're coaching and teaching. So you've got to tell me what this is all about. So before long, Megan and I hopped on the phone. This was March of 17. She told me everything. Initially, I got really excited about it, and then my fears took over. I did not want to be the girl that was selling things online because I followed plenty of them and unfollowed them. And I also didn't want to lose money because I had a really skeptical husband that was like, are you sure this isn't a scam? Like, are you sure you're not going to pour a ton of money into this and then lose all of it? And that kind of got to me. But after 2 months of following Megan consistently, after that day, and continuing to think about it literally every single day, I reached back out to her and I said, I can't shake this. Like, I want to give this a try. And she asked me about my goals. One of them was to pay off student loans. And she said, okay, if it's not this, if it's not coaching, how are you going to pay off your student loans? And in that moment, I knew that I needed to jump and just see what this could be, because I had zero plans to pay off my student loans if it weren't for coaching. So I went in with the intention of making enough money to at least pay my student loan bill every single month, which was $500 to start out with. And I knew it was either make coaching work and use that money to pay for my student loan, or completely change our lifestyle, because $500 a month extra that we hadn't been paying already on 2 teacher salaries wasn't going to work for me. So I decided to just take the leap and see what it could turn into.
I love that. And I love how when you share your story, that how we got connected was not scammy or creepy, because that was both of our fears. And so I think it just proves that, like, we have trained our team, because we provide new coach, mentorship. Like, we have trained our team to share our own stories and build relationships, not just message someone out of the blue because they're your aunt's grandma or whatever it might be, but to actually build genuine relationships. And that's like one of my favorite parts about your story.
Yeah, I do mention too that I reached out to you not because she was sharing any sort of product whatsoever. I had no idea what she was doing, but I could tell that she was excited about it and it had a major impact on her life. That's why I reached out to her.
I love that. So cool. So I do want to talk, because I know you guys are probably thinking like, okay, so got it. What do you actually do to start seeing some success? Because I'm going to be 100% real with you guys. I was one of those girls who did not see instant success. I did not have a super successful month 1 or month 2. It actually took me like 6 months to kind of figure this out. Luckily, you guys have mentors who will care about you. And so we are going to really make sure that you're focusing on what's most important so that you can use your time wisely when you are working on this business. But what I did 6 months in, I had gotten home from a trip and I was like, okay, I need to give this thing a try. Like, I need to legit do what my coach has been telling me for 6 months that I should be doing. And I need to give it a try, or I need to be done with this. And it's scary to even say that 4.5 years ago, I even told myself, you either need to do this or you need to leave. But I did, because I wasn't doing what I needed to do. So here's what I do. I started a program. I started actually working on my own health and fitness. I was already kind of going to the gym and I thought I knew what to do, but I wasn't seeing any results doing that. And so I started a program called 21 Day Fix Extreme. It was 21 days of workouts, and I committed to it. I followed the eating plan that was actually really simple to follow once I spent just a little bit of time reading the material. I drank my nutrient-dense shake every single day because it was helping with my cravings. And oh my gosh, it was giving me energy that I finally needed for my hypothyroidism. And so with that, that was the basis of the fact that I was doing and proving that these programs actually legit work. And then I started posting on social media. I was already kind of sharing on social media, but here I started getting just a little bit more open about what I was experiencing through these programs. And so I started kind of watching what other coaches were doing that were seeing some success. And I started saying oh, okay, well, she posts about that. I can take that topic and I can put it in my own words with my own spin and my own little Meg flair, and add in some teacher stuff here and there, and add in, personal development that I was reading, or, my own faith and things like that. Like, so I made it personal to me, and that really drew in people enough to ask questions. What are you doing? Why are you doing this? Because I don't have a huge 50-pound weight loss. I think I lost maybe 5 pounds in that first 21 days, but it was enough that people saw that I was excited about it. They saw my energy that I was gaining, and they saw that like there was a little change, like I did have a little bit of change in what my body looked like, enough that people were asking questions, that I was able to have meaningful conversations with them. And then we did the program together. I decided to do it again, and we did it together in what we call an accountability group, which is just a group where you check in on you got your workout in, and that you are, following the meal plan the best that you possibly can. And that was when I started seeing a little bit of traction in my business. And that's when I finally got to the point where I remember one week I went and I purchased paint for this house. And I was a single teacher at the time. I had just bought a house. I wasn't making like a ton of extra money, but I went and bought the paint because I wanted to make it special. I wanted to make it my own. And I went and I checked my bank account, and I was like, oh my gosh, it was what I made in coaching that week was almost like, it was literally pennies away from what I spent on paint. And y'all, I bought the good paint. I bought the Benjamin Moore, like nice paint. And it was just that like sign that like, this is where I'm supposed to be. This is what I'm supposed to be doing. And it made the world of difference, like in the fact that like I felt confident, and I didn't feel like I was like having to be like worried about money all the time. I knew I had this little side passion that would produce, some income, as long as I was doing those basic things that I just talked about.
So the really cool thing about having a mentor in this business is you get to learn from them. And when I very first started as a coach, Megan told me all of her stories of when she very first started. And she said, if you want to see success, this is what you need to do. And she pretty much just laid it out for me exactly how she just did for you. And from my first month, I knew what I needed to do to see success. And I was going to do it because, like I said, I had a skeptical husband, and his deal with me was make money or quit, basically. So I started out from day one, and I committed to a program. I was the type of girl before I became a coach that I was a calorie counter and I was a runner, and I could never stay consistent. I didn't want to stay consistent, and I never got results. So my thought was, if this works for me and I get really good results, then I can do this. So I went all in with the program, just like Megan said, and in 3 weeks, I had really amazing results with 21 Day Fix. I looked very different. I felt very different. Even my confidence was extremely different. And the key is I shared it all on social media. I shared my first workouts with green bean cans, or no, I think maybe it was my second one. My first one, I think, was with bleach bottles, because I didn't have weights, you guys. I signed up to be a health coach and I didn't even have weights. And I shared those moments of, I don't know what I'm doing. I have bleach and I have cans, and those weigh something, so they'll be great for these workouts. And I shared those moments, and I shared that I hate water and I don't like to drink water. Somebody tell me how to make my water like taste better so I can actually drink it. I was 100% honest with my struggles, and I was 100% honest with my victories as well. And in 3 weeks time of sharing my real stories on social media, people could see the difference in me. They would comment on the muscle growth already in 3 weeks of just being consistent with workouts. And I will never forget the first time that I realized, oh my gosh, like this is all it takes to be successful in this business, is I went to go get my hair done. I think it was after my first program, and my hairstylist follows me on Instagram, and she just asked me, like, what's new with you? And just naturally, I started to share with her about what I was doing as a coach, my program. She had seen it on social media, and I just shared genuinely and with excitement and with passion. And by the time I got up out of that chair, she said, when you get home, send me the link. I want to sign up and work out with you. And from that moment, it was like, I'm not selling anything. All I'm doing is telling people what works for me and what I love, just like, my favorite restaurant or my favorite clothing brand. It is the same thing. Because it works for me, And because it's changed my life, it is so simple for me to share with other people because it's the only health and fitness thing that's ever worked for me and kept me consistent for 2.5 years. So you commit to the programs, you allow them to change you share them on social media, and then you help other people when they ask you questions about it. And I will never forget the first time I saw that I made money. Like I told you, I have stress, and my husband was very, very skeptical. So every single week, he's like, "Have you made money? Have you made money?" And by week 3, I had made $250. And I will never forget showing him that I had made $250. And he was like, "If this is what you get to do to make $250, you need to go all in." And from that moment forward, I was all in. My very first official month as a coach, I made over $600 because Megan told me basically what not to do and what to do to see success, and I did. I can't promise you that your first month will look like that, but I can promise you if you are coachable and you do the things, you will end up being successful in this business. And for me, really when I realized it could be something bigger was my income kept growing. Like very consistently, my income grew month by month. And when I started to get really close to my teaching income, I was like, holy crap, like what dreams do I even have? What could I do if I stepped away from teaching and this was my full-time income? And as I began to think that, when I was in my classroom the following year, I just caught myself thinking all the time, like, I wish I was somewhere else, or I wish that I could be there for that family moment, or I wish that I could go with my friends to brunch today, or I wish that I could stay home today because I feel sick and they don't have subs for me and I have to be at school. And when those things just kept adding up, plus my income kept growing, I was like, all right, what can this thing be? Because I know for a fact I can gain the income and then I'm going to gain all the time freedom. So it became really real for me pretty quick.
That's so cool because it took me a little bit to like make it become real. Like I'll never forget when we were having some arguments. We were even just engaged at the time, so we weren't even married. But Zach and I remember were just kind of arguing over money because we were planning a wedding. He had some student loan debts that I didn't exactly know about right when we first started dating. Totally understandable. It's not exactly something like first date quality you talk about. But when we started sitting down and thinking about like, what do we want our family to look like? What do we want our relationship to look like? Arguing over money was the last thing that I wanted because conflict and I are like, makes me so anxious. So I just like, for some reason, I just sat there and I started thinking like, okay, what if this coaching can go towards his student loans? What if I get to be the person that every Thursday, because we get paid every week, every Thursday, I get to put $500, $1,000, something like that towards his student loans so that we officially get to become debt free. And you guys, we did it. We freaking worked our booties off. I worked my booty off. Zach kept it all organized for us, but we did it in 8 months. Our goal was to do it in 1 year. And we were just so excited. We just caught steam. My business started taking off because I had something really purposeful and I had something that was like, I like saw the bigger picture vision of us having, you know, like where we are like sitting down and planning and goal setting financially, not sitting down and arguing over how we're going to pay for these things. And for me, that's when I started seeing the big picture. And unlike Paige, who was like, I am super motivated by like the freedom of my time, I was super motivated at that time of having children and being home with them every day, all day long. It's a little different now. Rhett goes to school a couple of days a week, but at the time, that was the big picture, and that I was willing to work for it. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about just what it would look like to be a new coach, because we kind of talked about the actions, but we haven't talked about like the mentorship that you guys would receive. So there's kind of a couple of different things. So you get basic like one-on-one attention, but we also like to provide small group attention. So starting out, you would get a new coach email, and it's going to cover just the basics of how to launch your business, like really like simplified, so simple that probably even like a 12-year-old, because both of us are former middle school teachers, so simple that a 12-year-old could take those action steps and implement them. But also like fun, and you can add your personality to it also. And then the next thing is having a one-on-one chat with your mentor. And this is going to be focused on us getting to know you, because we want to know who you are. What are your things that you love? Tell us about your family, those types of things, but also some basic actions that are based off of your goals and what you want out of this business. For me at the beginning, it was very much focused on like, I want to help some people. So teach me how to get other people inspired and get them started. Paige was like, I have some deadlines. I've got to earn some income, which helping people does equal income. And so that's something that we want to know is, what are your goals, so that we know how to help you with those. And then the third thing is that we provide like a small group workshop or, message thread, some kind of small group mentorship with other coaches who are at the same level as you, because you're going to have fears when you get started. There's going to be things that you're learning. There's going to be other women who are doing this coaching thing that are at your level that you can just learn from and you can learn together with. I don't think there is anything better than having other people who are kind of at your same level that you can brainstorm with. And we will be a part of that. It's not just going to be sticking you in a group of new coaches. Like, we will be the people who get to like foster that and facilitate it. I think that was it. Paige, do you want to hit on a little bit of income, and then we'll kind of talk about what our life would be like without coaching?
Yeah. So you mean like whenever they first sign up, all of that?
Yeah. And like, if they're like, I want to make $150, what do I need to do that?
Yeah. So like Megan said, one of the biggest things I really think whenever you are talking about starting as a coach, it is having like a vision and a reason for why you want to do this. And for me, I really wanted to make enough money to pay for my student loans. And Megan told me something that like, it set the stage for my business, because like I told you, I had a very skeptical husband and I needed to know how to make money. So she told me that my investment to be a coach would be somewhere around $120 a month. And she said, in order to make money, you need to help 3 people a month. That's it. And in my mind, I was like, oh my gosh, that is so doable. I can think of 3 people right now who would want to do this with me. And before I ever even signed up as a coach, I had actually called a few of my best friends and said how excited I was about this and had them committed to starting with me before I ever signed up, because I was so excited. And 3 people felt so doable. So if you help 3 people a month start working out with you, that equals $150. You're going to make a commission off of every person that you sign up, and you make anywhere from 25 to 40% commission on every single thing that you sell. And I know you probably hear the word sell and you're like, oh, I don't want to sell. But you guys, I'm telling you, if you just sell the same way that you would sell your favorite restaurant or sell your favorite shirt to somebody, it's the same exact thing. You tell them how you're excited, and then you tell them how it can work for them as well. So you're going to invest around $120 a month, and you're helping 3 people only to actually start making a profit every single month.
Okay, love that. And then on top of that is just profit, even more profit. So yeah. It's pretty cool. And the feel, like, I'm all about the feel. So like the feeling of like helping people, it's like contagious. You just want to see who else could benefit from this. Okay, so why don't you go ahead and share just like what life would be like without coaching? If you just said, nope, I'm not going to do this.
Yeah. So I have a couple surface level-ish things and then something a little bit deeper for me. The 2 surface level-ish things are, 1, of course, my health. Like I told you before, I was not consistent in any sort of health routine year round until I became a coach. And I have truly gained so much just by figuring out my own health and fitness, consistency, a new mindset, and a different body, because I've been consistent and know how to take care of myself. And then the other thing would be our financial situation. I have not paid a dime of my student loan debt, not even 1 dime from anything other than my coaching income. And you guys, I have paid off very close to $30,000. And I cannot imagine what our life would be like if we had to have spent that $30,000 out of our combined teaching incomes rather than this side job that I've had for the last couple years. Like, it is mind blowing the way that the finances have impacted our lives. Like, we've been able to travel like we never would have been able to before. We've been able to just afford experiences and like go out to eat. And if I didn't have this, we would have been living off of what felt like nothing. Seriously, because that $500 a month student loan payment of mine would have strapped us completely. We would not have had any fun at all in the last couple years, which there's nothing that can replace the blessing that that's been in our lives. And then the last thing is kind of related to my health, but it's more of my mental and emotional health. Because I became a coach and really started focusing on my physical health, it became clear that other areas of my life needed some work too. And that was my emotional, mental, and spiritual health. So actually, because I became a coach, I was able to start counseling. And I never had even really considered it before. I've been able to pay, again, every single dime of my counseling for the last year and a half has come from coaching. And I cannot tell you the level of freedom I've found in my personal life because I've been able to go to counseling and because coaching led me there. So much so, guys, I literally have a tattoo on my arm permanently to remind me of the journey that I've gone on, and it all started with coaching. So every single area of my life, I'm not even exaggerating. Every area of my life has been impacted by coaching. And if I hadn't said yes, literally everything would be different, every single thing. And now I'm living the life of doing this full time and I'm not in a classroom anymore. So I can't even describe all of the things that would be different had I not said yes.
I love it. I love it. So for me, I like to think about like, I don't like to think about it, but my mind goes to like, what would life be like if I had never said yes? And I think about little things like my mornings are so different and they're so based on my schedule instead of someone else's schedule. And I'm that type of woman who like kind of turns into a crazy person in the morning because I get rushing around, I get distracted, and then I like turn into this like, I don't know, just this mean person. And I've been there because I was like that a lot whenever I was teaching. I felt like I had to get there on a certain time. And if I wasn't on time, I was never late, but I wanted to get there super early. I would be so short with Zach and I'd be texting as soon as I left the driveway, like, I'm so sorry. I was so mean to you. Please forgive me. I'm sorry. I got so rushed and just didn't know how to like handle it all. And now our mornings are so like, they're not super easy. I won't lie. We have a toddler, but they are based on my schedule and I get to be in control in the fact of whether they're rushed or whether they're not rushed. And I can say, okay, I don't need to get my workout like this morning. Rhett woke up super early. I didn't need to get my workout in first thing in the morning. So I didn't, like I, hung out with him and we read books instead. When I was getting ready this morning, he brought a book up to me. And so I literally sat on our bathroom floor, put him in my lap, and I read that book to him. And if I were still teaching and if I didn't have this freedom of my time, that would never be happening. I would have to say, sorry, bud, like I don't have time right now. I've got to get to work. And then the other thing is just, I would be pouring all of my energy and especially my emotional energy into my middle schoolers, into someone else's kiddos. And I was there. Like I would get home from teaching and I was exhausted, not physically exhausted. I was emotionally exhausted because I was pumping through 100 middle schoolers who are emotional themselves and up and down on, like super emotional and then super happy and everything's fine constantly. And that really, like, I'm an energy person. So that took a toll on me to the point where I would get home and I would just like, as soon as Zach would get off work, I'd be like, and this happened and this person said this. And I don't have that with coaching, like I work hard, but it's not a like super emotionally draining type of job. It's a super emotionally uplifting kind of job. And then the last thing has got to be financially. We were to a point where we were arguing over finances. We were just like unsure of what our next steps were. And coaching allowed us to create a plan together to monthly. Now we create little budget committee meeting monthly, but our budget committee meetings are based off of where we're going in the future, not taking care of debt anymore, not those types of things. It's like planning for building our dream home on 5 acres of land, which never would have been a possibility on my teaching income and Zach's income alone. Coaching has allowed us to dream bigger to the point where we're going to be doing more than just buying a house. We're going to fully live our life, and we're going to fully be able to give someday like we never envisioned being able to do that ever. And so it's so cool when you start opening up your eyes to what is actually possible whenever you have this cool opportunity in front of you and a job that you love. Like, I wake up excited to do this. So, Paige, got any other thoughts?
My last thing I was thinking is I don't want you to hear us and think, gosh, I don't really want to do that full time because I love my job. And I know Megan talked about that earlier. Most people that do this honestly do it part time. So it's totally okay if you love your job right now and maybe you just want some fun money. Like, you don't have to have the same vision as we do, but we just want you to see the possibilities with our stories because they're pretty crazy when you think about it.
I love it. Okay, so definitely at this point, we're going to be chatting. Like, let us know that you watched this video. Let us know what you thought, what you liked, what are some of your fears. And we know that it is going to be a continuing conversation. I think Paige and I talked on the phone a couple of times before she said yes. And so we don't want to expect anything. We just want to know that you watched it and some takeaways that you had from it. So hopefully you guys have a good rest of your day.
Thank you guys.